All right, so now we're going to talk about how a designer goes about and creates this visual world. What are the things that we do in order to accomplish this? So the first thing that we do is a deep analysis of the text. Much like we've been doing all semester, we read the text, we think about the different elements of drama that are happening and how they work together. We spend a lot of time talking to our collaborators and the director about the themes and ideas within the play that we are connecting with. And we ultimately get a sense of what the director's vision for the play is. We look at the practical elements as well. What does the play require? What are the things that we absolutely need to have to make this play work, right? The barrel from Rising of the Moon, the handkerchief from Ophelia. What are the things that this play cannot exist without? We also pay attention to specific stage directions within the play and specific lines within the play. If there's a scene where an actor walks on stage and looks at another actor and says, "That is a beautiful leopard print gown," the costume designer has to put that character in a beautiful leopard print gown. If a character walks on stage and says, "Wow, it's a beautiful, fine, sunny day out," and I turn on dark blue lighting and make it foggy and atmospheric, it's not going to make sense with the line. So we're looking at specific things that the play requires, and specific stage directions and lines that are included by the playwright to give us information, right? We also pay attention to times of day, places, and specific character traits, right? The costume designer is going to do a lot of that. What are these characters like, right? And how do the clothes that the costume designer puts them in tell us about those character traits? Does that make sense to everybody? Some common forms of inspiration and research that we will do are historical research, fact-based research. We'll scour images of the time period and the characters that we might be trying to represent. We'll do visual and tactile inspiration for scenery. And I like to really delve into visual artists. Edward Hopper uses his portrayal of light in his paintings are really beautiful. Artemisia Gentili also does the same thing, like her use of light in the way that she paints is really interesting to me, and it's directional and it's selective, and I will often pour through different anthologies of art history to find artists that inspire me or connect me to their use of light and the story that I'm trying to represent. So those are the different places that we go from inspiration. So what you're going to do for your design project is you're going to create inspirational research collages. And there's another example in the Plato course shell of specifics for the importance of being earnest. But I want to share some research collages, right? So a research collage is a visual bank of images. It can be things that inspire designers, things that create mood, things that establish a look in terms of color and line and shape and texture and value, all of those elements of design that I just spoke about, right? Establish a certain look. And so we will create these research collages that represent those things that we want to represent. It can be period and non-period research, and it really shows thought about the 5 elements of design. So this research collage was from a play called The Hungry Women. The Hungry Women was a retelling of the Greek play The Medea, but it was set in a post-apocalyptic Aztec world. So this is research that was pulled by the scenic and costume designer, and it delved really into the world of the play and the world that we were trying to represent. And if you really spend some time with all of these images and look at shape and line and texture and color and value, right? You can see a very distinct through line, right, that the designer was shooting for. Now, if we go to the actual costumes that were portrayed in the play, we can look at these. Do you see how the research images inspired the designer to create these costumes, right? Think about line, think about form, think about shape, think about color and texture. All of those things are represented in these images, and they directly correlate with the elements of design that are pulled from these research images. If we move a little bit forward, we can see historical research that was pulled. And if we move to the scenic design, we can again see the texture and the line, and we can look at those visual collages and understand how the designers ended up in this representation. So that is going to be your job for either The Importance of Being Earnest or Tartuffe. So reread one of those plays, and it will be your job to act as the visual designer. You will be creating research collages for the scenic elements of the play. You will be creating research collages for the characters and the costume design of the play, and you will be creating a research collage for how you see the light being used within the play. Let me open up. If we look at this, and this is also in the Play-Doh course shell, right? So this is a research collage for Gwendolyn, right? Do we see how these images tell us about who Gwendolyn is as a character, right? The costume designer within this image collage tells us a story about what they see Gwendolyn wearing within The Importance of Being Earnest, right? This is a research collage telling us about Algernon's apartment and the things that we might see in Algernon's apartment and the exuberance and the grandeur that represents someplace that Algernon as a character would live. And finally, this image collage shows us the type of lighting, right? The saturate amber light in that bottom right corner, right? The cold iciness of that top right corner. The sheer brilliance of daylight coming through trees or light coming through windows. Those are all elements that the lighting designer would want to use within the world of The Importance of Being Earnest. So your job for this project will be to do the 3 scenic elements of The Importance of Being Earnest, which would be Algernon's apartment, Jack's the garden in Jack's house, and then the drawing room of Jack's house. So you would need to do 3 separate research collages for those places. If you choose to do Tartuffe, you'll only be doing 1 scenic-based research collage. But when you move to characters, you'll have to do 7 of the characters within Tartuffe. Whereas if you stick with The Importance of Being Earnest, you'll only, you have to do 6 characters from Tartuffe and 4 characters from The Importance of Being Earnest. And then with each project, you'll do 1 lighting slide. I hope that is helpful, and I hope you have a good sense of where you're going with this project. If you have any questions or concerns, please feel to reach out to me. Again, this project will not be due until Sunday, the 29th of November at 11:59 p.m. Again, please feel free to reach out and contact me with any questions or concerns. Take care.